And welcome back to another session of reproduction in living organism. Yes guys, we were discussing about asexual reproductions and we have discussed almost 5 types of asexual reproduction, and I have discussed about multiple fission, binary fission, fragmentation, regenerations. All these things we are already done, and today I'm going to discuss the last 2 types of asexual reproduction, that is spore formation and vegetative propagation. So without further ado, let's get started with spore formation, and I hope you all know what exactly spore formation is and how asexual reproduction takes place by spores. Can anyone? Any guesses? Let me know in the comment section below what do you understand by reproduction, or most particularly asexual reproduction by spore formation. Yes guys, asexual reproduction by spores. Do you have any idea? I have given you number of examples in your classrooms. Hope some of you can remember bread, rhizophores. Come on. Remember guys, remember. Yes, I have told you that rotten bread, if you are going to keep the bread in a cupboard for several days, you are going to observe somewhat white or black powdery substances. Yes, that is what fungus. Yes, and that fungus is called rhizophores, and that rhizophores fungus reproduces by spore formation. Yes guys, asexual reproduction by spores. So I told you that whenever you are going to keep a bread, wet moist bread for at least 1 week inside a cupboard, and after 1 week what you are going to observe? White crystalline powder or blackish powder over the bread, that is nothing but a fungus, and that fungus is called as rhizophores fungus, and rhizophores fungus reproduces asexually by spores. So when we are going to observe that fungus under microscope now guys, you are going to observe this type of structure. Yes, you are going to observe this type of structure. This long stalk-like structure of rhizophores is called hyphae. Yes. So when you are going to observe that powderish substances under microscope, now what you are going to observe? It's a fungus actually. And what is the name of that function? Just right now I told you rhizophores fungus. Yes, the name of the fungus which we are going to see over the bread is rhizophores fungus. And when this rhizophores fungus, and we are going to observe it under microscope, so we are going to find out this type of structure under microscope, and you can see over clearly it has got a long stalk-like structure. Can you see this long stalk-like structure guys? And this long stalk-like structure of rhizophores is called hyphae. Hyphae. This long stalk-like structure of rhizophores is called hyphae. Hypha. And you can see a knob-like structure here, or a bulb-like structure at the head. Can you see this knob-like structure? This knob-like structure is called sporangium. Yes guys, stalk is called hyphae, and at the top this knob-like structure is called as your sporangium. Sporangium. So it's called as sporangium. And inside the sporangium what happened? Number of spores are present. Yes. So when we are going to observe or open the sporangium, we are going to see number of spores inside it. It is called as spores, and that spores are most particularly responsible for reproduction. These spores participates in asexual reproduction, and whenever there is a favorable condition comes, this sporangium breaks. Yes, the sporangium, the wall of the sporangium ruptures, all the spores comes outside, fly in the wind, disperse here and there, and wherever they disperse, they get favorable condition, they germinates and forms and reproduces and forms a new fungus or a new rhizophores. Yes, this is how asexual asexual reproduction takes place by spores. Understood, guys? So it generally takes place in some fungus, in also some algae, in some protozoans also. So spore formation. The next type, so what you have to remember, guys? So asexual reproduction by spores. Yes, the best example we can give is the rhizophus. And rhizophus fungus is seen on a rodent bacteria. Yes, when a bacteria, a moist bacteria, most particularly a moist bacteria, when it is kept for a weekday under cupboard, it will get rotten, and over that rotten bacteria, on that rotten bread, we are going to find this rhizophus fungus. And what we are going to do? And we are going to observe this rhizophus fungus under microscope. And when we are going to observe this rhizophus fungus under microscope, we can observe a long stalk-like structure. And what is that stalk-like structure called, guys? Just now I told you, it's Hyphae. Yes, it's called Hyphae. Hyphae. So this long stalk-like structure is called Hyphae. And at the top of the hyphae, you can see a bulb-like structure. Can you see it, guys? So this bulb-like structure is called Sporangium, and inside that Sporangium, spores are present. And that spores participates in asexual reproduction. So whenever there is a favorable condition comes, the outer covering of this sporangium, this sporangium bursts. And all the spores which are present inside that sporangium comes outside, disperse here and there, and when it gets a moist environment, it again reproduces to form new fungus or new rhizophus, and this is how asexual reproduction by spores takes place. I hope you understood, guys. So now let's move on to the last type of asexual reproduction, that is vegetative propagation. What is it? Vegetative propagation. The last and the seventh type of asexual reproduction is vegetative propagation. Simply, if I am going to tell you now, development of a new plant from the mother plant, from its part only. You can take the best example, rose, guys. When you are going to cut the stem of the rose, having a node in it, you have to mark one thing, that you have to cut the stem having a node. And when you are going to plant that stem, it again reproduces into a new rose plant. Isn't it? All of us have done it. So that exactly means vegetative propagation. Very simple. When a new plant is developed or a new plant is produced from the mother plant, then it is called as vegetative propagation. Understood? I hope I am clear, guys. Yes? So when a new plant or a new plant produced from the mother plant, yes, then it is called as vegetative. From which part exactly? Can you tell me from which parts of the plant a new plant develops? Of course, root, stem, leaves, but not seed, guys. Yes, remember that point. When a new plant is produced from the mother plant, from the parent plant, new plant produced from the parent plant or from the mother plant, from its roots, from its leaves, yes, and from its stem, then it is called as vegetative propagation. Clear? New plants produced from parent plants, either from root, stem and leaves, except seed, is called vegetative propagation. Am I clear? Vegetative propagation means the development or the production of a new plant from the mother plant itself, from the part of the mother plant itself, like root, stem and leaves, without involving the seed, is called vegetative propagation. And there are two types of vegetative propagation, guys. Yes, you have to remember the two types of vegetative propagation are there, and that two types of vegetative propagation are natural vegetative propagation. Just I have made a big round over here. Natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. Yes, guys. So there are exactly two main types of vegetative propagation. The first one is your natural vegetative propagation. Very natural, from root, stem and leaves. No need of our help is there. So it's completely safe, completely natural, and hence called as your natural vegetative propagation from roots, stem and leaves. And this root, stem and leaves participates in reproduction, and such type of propagation is called as your natural vegetative propagation. And the second one is your artificial vegetative propagation. So what exactly is artificial vegetative propagation? It requires our help. It's a man-made propagation. When we are involving ourselves to develop a new plant artificially, then it is called as your artificial vegetative propagations. It's a man-made. Yes, horticulturist. You know who are horticulturists? Yes. So horticulturers and actually plant growers. Yes, plant growers. They involve themselves in developing a new plants and producing a new plant. Here, man-made involvement is there. Man is involved here. So it is called as your artificial vegetative propagation. Am I clear, guys? What exactly is vegetative propagation? Production of a new plant from the mother plant itself by the parts of the mother plant, roots, stem and leaves is called as your vegetative propagation. Done with the first point. Second point, there are two types of vegetative propagation: natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. Natural vegetative propagation means your roots, stem and leaves are involved in reproduction. And artificial vegetative propagation means man-made. It requires the help of man. Your plant growers, yes, the plant growers, your horticulturists, they are involved in artificial vegetative propagation. Now am I clear about vegetative propagation? So let's first discuss about the natural vegetative propagation. What exactly is natural vegetative propagation and how new plants are developed by roots, stem and leaves. Yes, so now let's focus on natural vegetative propagation, guys. Natural vegetative propagation are again of three types. Vegetative propagation, guys, don't forget it is of two types. Natural and artificial. Again. The natural vegetative propagation is of three types. The natural vegetative propagation are of three types. Vegetative propagation in Bryophylum species. First one. Yes, vegetative propagation in Bryophylum species. Second one, vegetative propagation is potato and sweet potato. Yes, your vegetative propagation in potato and sweet potato. And the third one is your vegetative propagation in money plant. Yes, so this natural vegetative propagations are again of three types. Yes, first, simply if I am going to tell you now, vegetative propagation by stem, vegetative propagation by leaves and vegetative propagation by roots. That's it. Simple. Yes, vegetative propagation in Bryophylum. Bryophylum species generally reproduces from the leaves or stem. I am going to explain you how. Okay. The second one is your vegetative propagation in potato and sweet potato. Third one, the vegetative propagation in money plant. Yes, these are the three types of natural vegetative propagation. So let's see what happens in vegetative propagation in Bryophylum species. So generally, you might have observed in Bryophylum leaves. This is the Bryophylum. Suppose this is the Bryophylum leaves. Okay. Yes? Is it seen to you? So suppose this is the leaf of Bryophylum species. Here in the leaf margins, you can see here is a node, here is a node, here is a node. Yes, in the leaves of the Bryophylum, in the leaf margins of the Bryophylum, nodes are present. Can you see these nodes? From that nodes, Yes, from that nodes, when the leaves falls on the soil and gets a suitable environment condition, from that nodes of the leaves, a new plant reproduces. Yes, and this is how reproduction, asexual reproduction in Bryophylum species takes place from the nodes present in the leaf margins or in the nodes present in the stem also. Sometimes what happens, even though it is in the plant, the leaves are in the plants even, from the nodes a new plants germinate. So this is how from the leaf new plants is produced in case of Bryophylum species. Am I clear, guys? Yes. So what exactly happens in Bryophylum species? So the leaves of the Bryophylum species, yes, they have got leaf margins, and in that leaf margins you are going to find some nodes. And when this leaves either falls on the ground or in the tree itself gets in suitable favorable conditions, a new plant germinates. A new plant germinates from the leaf margin, and hence asexual reproductions from the leaf takes place. This is what the natural vegetative propagation in Bryophylum species takes place by leaves. Clear? Now let's move on to the second type of natural vegetative propagation in potato and sweet potato. Yes guys, you all have observed potatoes. You have observed that dark spot, black spot over the potatoes. What exactly it is called? Can you tell me, guys? Come on, I'm waiting for your answers in the comment section. What is called that black spots over the potato or sweet potato? Yes, it is called eyes. Yes, the dark black spots which is present on the potato is called as your eyes, and from that eyes, from that tuber, a new potato plants are developed or produced. That exactly takes place in vegetative propagation in potato and sweet potato. But sweet potato, guys, develops from roots. Yes, sweet potato develops from the roots, but potato develops from the buds or eyes which is present stem tuber. Yes, in potato it is called a stem tuber, but sweet potato develops from roots. You hope guys you are clear about it. Yes, so vegetative or natural vegetative propagation in potato and sweet potatoes, they generally develops from the eye spot which is present on the potato. Potato are produced by asexual reproduction through stem tubers, but sweet potatoes from roots. Yes, clear? Now the third type. A vegetative propagation in your money plant by stem. How many plants develop, guys? You all have done at your home. So whenever you are going to cut the stem of the money plant, but condition is there. When you are going to cut the stem of the money plant, you should have to cut in such a way that it already has a leaf attached to it. Means you need to cut the stem with a leaf attached to it, and when you are going to put that stem with the leaf, yes, the end of the stem in a water, after few days the roots will be developing from the other parts from the stem which is already immersed in water, and finally a new money plant is developed. So this is how the money plants develop from the stem. Am I clear, guys? Yes, how money plants develops from your stem. So you have to cut the money plant, but how you are going to cut it? It already should have a leaf attached to it. So when you are going to cut the stem of the money plant having a leaf or a node and going to immerse that stem in water, after a few days you are going to observe some roots developing from the end part of the stem, and finally we are going to develop a new money plant within a few days. So this exactly is how vegetative propagation takes place in money plants. Yes guys, propagation two types, artificial and natural. Natural by root, stem and leaves, and vegetative propagation in Bryophyllums, potato and sweet potato, and of course money plant. Clear about natural vegetative propagation. Now let's see about the artificial vegetative propagation. How it happens? Let's see. Okay guys, now let's see the artificial vegetative propagation, and I told you it is mainly done by horticulturists and here involves the man. Yes, so man-made. Yes, so artificial vegetative propagation is a process of growing many plants from a single plant. Yes guys, the process of growing a number of plants from a single plant by man-made methods. Yes, man has to do manually, then we are going to get number of plants from a single plant guys, and it's very beneficial to horticulturists. Yes, so it's an artificial vegetative propagation means production of many plants from a single plant by man-made methods. Yes guys, understood what exactly is artificial vegetative propagation? It's nothing but production of many plants. Yes, production of many plants from a single plant by man methods, and it is done artificially and hence can be called as artificial vegetative propagation. Yes, so just like your natural vegetative propagation, 3 types, it also has 3 types of artificial vegetative propagation. Yes, there are 3 main types of artificial vegetative propagation or artificial asexual vegetative propagation. And what are that 3 types guys? First one, cutting. Yes. The second one, layering, and the third one is grafting. And I hope I have discussed about grafting in one of your class. Yes, am I right? I know I have discussed as far as I recall. Okay, so there are 3 types of your artificial vegetative propagation. They are cutting. Yes, first one of artificial vegetative propagation. First one that uses man-made methods is cutting. Second one, layering, and the third one, grafting. What are the 3 types guys? Yes, it's cutting, layering and grafting. So let's see the first one, which is your cutting. I told you, I told you the example of your rose plant. Yes, that comes under your artificial vegetative propagation cutting. So the first thing you have to remember, a small piece of any plant organ. I told you. Yes, a new plant developed from the parent plant means here comes the role of the parent plant, parent organ. Yes, so a small piece of any plant part. A small piece of any plant part is used here in cutting. So whenever you are going to cut the stem of your rose plant having a bud, you have seen some nodes. Yes, the stem of rose plant or bougainvillea is there. Nodes are present. देखे होगे तुम लोग सब. Yes, so in that stem, if you are going to take or cut that stem having the node and getting buried inside the soil, after few days we are going to have a new rose plant. We are going to have a new bougainvillea plant. So it involves the mother part. Yes. So a small piece of any plant organs. Yes. Mostly the stem is used here or involved here. So parent plant stem with bud. I just told you parent plant with a node or with a bud is cut. Yes, is cut, and its lower part, the stem is then buried inside the soil, and if you are going to properly water it and it will get enough temperature, enough sunlight and everything. So definitely we are going to have a new plant. It takes place in grapes, in sugarcane, in rose plant, in bougainvillea. So many plants are done by this method called cutting. So here the most important thing you guys have to remember is that it uses part of the parent plant. The first very important thing you have to remember in artificial cutting process is that it involves the parent. It involves the parent part. Mostly bud on the stem or node on the stem, which is then buried in the soil. And finally we are going to have a new plant. Yes, done with cutting. So the second one is layering. Yes, what exactly is layering? I hope you have not ever listened about it. What exactly is layering? It's artificially induction of the branch of the plant when it is already there in the tree. क्या करना है? Just artificial induction of the branch before they detach from the plant. It's a plant. Suppose it's a plant. Branches are there. Artificially, you just pull that branch and get buried inside the soil, and buried inside the soil artificially, man-made. Then it is called as layering. Before it get detaches from the parent place, means manually, intentionally you are inducing the branches of the plant before it get detached with the parent. Am I clear? Artificial, manual induction of the branch of the parent plant inside and buried inside the cell. And how you are going to bury it? The branch of the plant pulled. Yes, branch of the plant is pulled towards the ground. Here it is a branch. You will pull and buried inside the ground and covered with moist soil. Yes, and again you will pull that branch, buried inside the soil and cover that branch with moist soil. Yes, and leaving a small tip of the branch to get the sunlight and water and everything. Okay, leaving the tip of the branch exposed above the ground, and from that tip after few days we are going to observe new roots, new stem and new leaves. And once new roots, new branches are developed, it is detached from the parent plant and we are getting a new plant. So this exactly means the layering, means artificially done. Means intentionally you are going to pull a branch. Yes, you will just pull a branch. Yes, buried inside the ground, covered it with a moist soil. Just leave a small tip of the branch so that it will get the sunlight and water and everything whatever required. Okay, so leaving the tip of the branch, and after few days with proper nourishment you are going to observe new branches, new roots and new leaves. So once it develops the new branches, it gets detached from the parent plants and finally we are getting a new plant. So this exactly is your layering process, and it takes place in lemon, guava, orange, jasmine. So many plants are there. So now let's move on to the third and the last type of process, that is grafting. And I have told you n number of times regarding the grafting process, guys. So what grafting process is means two different plants are joined together and made them grow as a single plant. Then it is called as grafting. I have given you the example of mango. Now I think you can recall. So suppose the thing is that one mango tree is there that bears a very large mango fruit, but it's completely sour in taste. And on the other hand, we are going to take another mango plant which is extremely sweet but small in size. And we are going to do grafting process with these two mango plants. Means we have to cut the two plants. Suppose you have taken the big fruit size mango plant. Yes, and you cut the stem of the small size mango plant, joined them. Yes, you have joined them, tied them with a thread, covered it with a polythene bag. If you are going, why you are going to cover it with polythene bag? To prevent the loss of the water. Yes, and to make a grip between them so that it can grow as a single plant and their cambium will act as a single cambium. Yes, and after few days, if you are going to observe that they will develop into a single plant, and ultimately what we are getting means large sized big sweet mangoes, and because of the process called grafting. And here the most important thing you have to remember is that the stem which is being attached to the soil, yes, the stem which is being attached to with the roots is called as stalk. Means stem with roots which is inside the soil, that part is called as your stalk, and the upper part is called as scion, S-C-I-O-N. Simply, it's mostly used, the grafting process is mainly used for your fruits. Okay, two plants are grafted, two plants are joined. One already there with the roots, buried inside the ground. Other, we have to cut. Other plant we have to cut in such a manner in slanting method. We will bring that stem, join here. Yes, we will tie it, wrap it with a polythene bag to prevent the water loss. Yes, and so that it prevent the water loss and also to prevent from the infection of bacteria and virus. Yes, and after few days we are going to observe that both the plant's cambium become one and they grow as a single plant. And finally, whatever we desire, the desired fruits we will be getting. And because of this grafting process, the most important two terms you have to remember is stalk and cycle. Yes, what exactly is stalk means? The plant already with roots buried in the ground is called stalk, and the upper part is called as cycle. This is what called grafting, and it's carried on lemon, apple, pear, pineapple, so many are there. I hope guys you understood about the vegetative propagations today. And with this, we come to an end of asexual reproduction. So in the coming classes, we are going to discuss about sexual reproductions. So please revise well, stay at home and stay safe at home. See you.